And welcome to this edition of the Biker Angle. It is 9:30 of 2018. I'm James Hollywood Machikari, and thanks for yesterday's live chat for joining us. Had quite a number of people with us yesterday, and it was great having the conversation going, and that's why I like doing these live TV video feeds on Saturday. If you have a subject that you'd like to talk about, email me, cubbiesrock, ROC 1973 at gmail.com. And if you got a good subject, we'll schedule it for a live feed. But before we go further, I want to caution you. This is not a politically correct channel, so if you get butthurt real easy or you're a cupcake, this ain't the channel for you, and this video sure the hell ain't going to be the channel for you. Anyway, we're going to be talking about mixed race motorcycle clubs, and we're going to be diving deep into some subjects that this country has had for a very long time. Now, when people ask me about mixed race motorcycle clubs, what do I think about them? Because I get that question a lot. And by the way, before I go on, you goose-stepping motherfuckers who got all butthurt from the live stream yesterday, take your ass over on the My Comp for High Hitler bullshit and take that shit over to there, man. Because you know what? Your comments and your threats and your emails, don't mean a goddamn thing. So mosey on, keyboard warriors. But my thoughts on mixed race motorcycle clubs. As you can see from the YouTube thumbnail, I put up there a picture of some Vietnam soldiers. In there was blacks, there was whites, and there was Mexicans. And my feelings have always been, especially since the neighborhood that I came from was all mixed, it was the Chicago North Side, that if it's good enough to fight in war together, it's good enough for everybody to ride together. That's just always been my way of thinking. And I know there's a big freaking space between white clubs, black clubs. A lot of people complain that the white clubs only take Hispanics but still keep out the black clubs. And there's actually a really good article from Sucka Free MC that was actually written a couple years ago that I'll go into. And it kind of gives their side of the story. And what I mean by their side, it's the black side of the argument. And as everybody knows, I really like giving both sides of the argument and putting my 2 cents in, then love seeing the debates pop off from there. But mixed race motorcycle clubs have become more prevalent now in modern times. When I first started, they weren't that prevalent. There was a few, like Chosen Few, Hell's Lovers, and I'm sure there's a hell of a lot more that I'm missing out there. But nowadays, it's really opened up a lot to the mixed races, where you got clubs that, white, black, Mexican, Latino, yellow, brown, blue, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And that's kind of, I think, the generational change that's happening within the biker scene. And personally, I think it's a good one. Again, if you're going to go to war and you can fight together, I don't see no problem riding together. Here's the thing. If I'm in a bar or some shit, and we're about to get into some shit, because usually that's what happened in the bar, because you got all these stupid drunks that are usually there. That's probably why I stay away from them a lot of times, because I hate them fucking drunks that come up to you and start touching you. Hey, look at your tattoos. Look at your tattoos. I lose my temper with them idiots. But anyway, I don't care what color you are if we're into some shit, man, and you're backing me up with a fucking pull stick or some shit, man. You're preventing somebody from blindsiding my ass. You really think I give a shit what color you are? Really think about it, man. Or say you're having a fucking heart attack or you're having some kind of medical emergency. You go down on your fucking bike. You really think I'm going to give a shit what color the goddamn doctor is that's helping me out, or who the fucking paramedic is helping me out? No, hell no, man. They're there to help you, and what's the fucking matter if they got the fucking knowledge to help you? Then again, what's it matter what color they are? That's just the way it's always been because the neighborhood I'm from was like that. True words right there, man. We all lived in fucking poverty, man. It didn't matter freaking if you're a black, white, Mexican, freaking yellow, you were freaking Chinese, what, it didn't matter. We were all in the same shit together. And I guess that's where the inner city stuff comes into play, and why a lot of people, say from outside the city limits, are like, well, what the fuck, man? We're supposed to sit together and go with our own race and shit. Now, with that said, if you're ever in the joint, yeah, it's a system you gotta fucking follow. That's the way it is. And even mixed club members who, if something goes down and has to go to the joint, they know where they have to go. They know if, they're black, they go with the black. If you're a fucking white, you go with the Peckerwoods. If you're freaking Mexican, you go with the Mexicans. That's just the way that society within the prison system is. But it's not like that out on the streets anymore. And it's becoming, again, more prevalent for these mixed motorcycle clubs to come about. Now, let's take a look at this article from Sucker Free MC. Now, those who don't know what that is, it's basically from the black side of things. It's like an insane throttle, but it's tailored more to the black community. And he had an article come out in 2012, I believe it was. It was titled Biker Racism, the Jim Crow MC Nation. And it reads, and this is their side of the view on what the black community's thinking as far as the biker community as a whole. In what arguably was their best season since the second one, and just to tell you how old this article is, the Juice storyline in season 4 of Sons of Anarchy brought a lot of things to light. The first, which is quite unfortunate, is how blatantly ignorant so many African American bikers are to a very obvious and historical aspect of the community they claim to rep. I'll illustrate my point by using a quote from SOA's character and main writer Kurt Sutter. Quote, there seems to be some confusion about Juice's discomfort and fear regarding the discovery of his black father. This is a racial reality in outlaw motorcycle clubs. We've touched on the issue lightly over the first 3 seasons of SOA. The fact is that most of the bigger MCs do not have African American members. There are black clubs and then there are white. Then it has the bar things. Caucasian, Latino, Asian clubs. Most live in harmony. HA and the East Bay Dragons have been friends for decades. That relationship inspired the Grim Bastards in season 3. We delve into the delicate whys and hows of this racial bylaw later in the season, which everybody, turns out that by the end of the show, SOA accepts, I think, the president of the Grim Bastards, who was black. But it was one of those odd historical barriers that I wanted to explore. It's a throwback to a different era that is still in practice today. Which it is. It's still in practice today. I can honestly say that none of these guys I know in the life are racist, yet they function within a structure that is built upon a form of segregation. And that's from Kurt Sutter. And this going back to the article now from Sucker Free MC. Essentially, many so-called black bikers were completely unaware that Jim Crow and club segregation policies are a time-honored and practiced tradition. Mixed race membership in traditional white one-percenter clubs have historically never happened, and until the Martin Luther King Jr. Malcolm X of the MC circuit rises up, 1% racial club integration is not going to happen anytime soon. It begs the question how African American MC support groups of white 1%er clubs resolve their field hand status in the pecking order of that world. As a support club of a white outlaw organization, black MCs are being told, you're good enough to be a support club and pay your taxes, but you'll never be good enough to be a member of that club. As a historian, I have to point out the last time that unfair system was used on a group of people, it started a movement called the Revolutionary War. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called taxation with no representation, and people went to war over it. Yet today, many African American MCs who support the dominant white one percenters are being taxed with no representation. I suppose that's another topic for another blog. Please note, there are mixed one percenter clubs, with the chosen few being the most dominant, but common practice suggests that this is certainly not the practicing case. Please note I stress African American and not Hispanic. Hispanic members have been allowed to join and hold rank in white outlaw clubs, but African Americans have not. The second discussion's point that the Jew storyline forces into the earlier is the overall topic of race and racism in the biker community. I won't speak to it from an outsider's point of view, and by that, let me define outsider. Any cager or ghost rider who, despite being in the community, knows nothing about bikers and MC traditions. So I will not speak on the generalities that those people have of white one percenters and bikers in general. This blog has never been intended for them. This blog is for bikers inside the community and understand, respect, and practice the behaviors that promote and support our biker life, not just our lifestyle. It's safe to say that historically the Harley-Davidson brand had been a two-wheeled phalanx symbol of white American pride and power until recently. That's an image that brand had not refuted. However, coupled with the fact that their constituency is getting older and the nation's current economic times, Harley was forced to expand its consumer net, resulting in them actively recruiting women and minorities, especially African Americans. While the jury is still out as to whether or not their efforts are being perceived as sincere or a marketing need, more people of color are considering the brand than ever before. It's a fact not lost on some white outlaws. Black Mike, a member of a notorious one percenter white outlaw club, noted the increase of African Americans on Harleys. Quote, "You can't help but to notice it, but I'm not noticing it in a bad way," end quote. Quote again, "I'm just noticing it, period." When pressed to answer why it's caught his attention, he freely says, "'Cause brothers ride those rice burners. That's what they do, and honestly, that's the disgusting thing. Worse than being black is riding a Japanese bike." Mike sucks his teeth. Quote, "I just feel the motorcycle is an American machine and we all should be riding an American machine. British is fine, but Jap? Get the fuck out of here." When it's pointed out that the allegiance to the American and British bikes, all the hatred of all things Japanese stems from the Allies and Axis allegiances of World War II. Mike simply says, so? Please note this author believes, though, a member of the World War II Axis, Italians enjoy a successful inclusion in the motorcycle community because they did not contribute in any way to the Pearl Harbor bombing. Americans have long memories, and the generational hatred of all things Japanese is hand in hand related to the tragic incident. Italian motorcycles are accepted and respected for their craftsmanship, and despite creating impressive machines, Japanese bikes are frowned upon. Which, back in 2012, that was still the case. But mostly now, they're actually coming mainstream again. Because you got that different generational gap coming in where it don't matter what the hell you ride as long as you ride. And that's actually hurt Harley Davidson, if you ask me. Judging a biker by his brand of motorcycle or by his club, however, is as smart as judging a book by its cover. Shows like Gangland commonly and in some cases rightfully so, link white outlaw clubs and their Harleys with a group such as the Aryan Brotherhood, but upon closer examination, those ties are usually more forged for economic reason as opposed to shared racist visions. Right there, you got to stop, because in the joint, especially out in Cali or Texas, where, again, the prison system segregated, you go with your own people, as they say, just to survive in the joint. You gotta survive in the joint, and to do that, usually you're joining up with some gang if you're in like a max or a medium or some shit like that. And the Aryan Brotherhood is, the white vein compared to the Black Gorilla family, man. They got theirs, the whites have theirs, and you know what? It's some hardcore shit once you get in the joint. At first, and you know what? Most bikers, like he said in this thing, are white from the outlaw club, so of course they're gonna gravitate towards the Aryan Brotherhood in them type of states. Judging. Let's see here. Let's see what we got here. At first sight, an alliance of white supremacists and a biker gang member seems an odd one, says Edward Witherhalder, former leader of the Banditos and now an author of Gang Culture. Quote, most of them are just regular guys who work during the week and have little to much fun on the weekends. The majority of them are law-abiding, have families, they're just regular neighborhood guys. They love their Harley-Davidson motorcycles and love their brotherhood and camaraderie of riding their bikes. They are very pro-government. They stand behind the flag. This is something they would never be involved in. Working with white supremacists would be extremely unusual partnership. Again, when a guy goes down in the joint, though, you got to go with your own race. That's just prison rules. While the Confederate flag and Nazi symbols invoke an immediate response that's drenched in respective histories of violence and racist rhetoric, many bikers who wear those symbols are not actually racist. Nazi and SS symbols were often used to put off the general populace and reinforce the bikers on the outskirts of society mentally. Again, deeper retrospection and investigation unearths a few truths. Nazi symbols and regalia were first used by HAMC for shock value. It was a reminder to the general public and to the 99%er that 81 is not like them, and that the 81 will never be like them. Since then, some of the Hispanic and mixed motorcycle clubs have used swastikas in graffiti for some similar purposes, primarily during the 60s and 70s, with some old schoolers still using them today. We should note that the Mongols MC, a predominantly Mexican-American 1%er club and rival to the 81, has many white members with tattoos that incorporate Nazi symbolism. And of course, we went over all this stuff in that last video about the Nazi symbol and shit. 81 decided to internationally prohibit the use of Nazi symbolism among its brothers because the German members, under German law, cannot wear any Nazi paraphernalia. Toby, 27 at the time, has been a member of a white outlaw motorcycle club for 3 years and has no ties to any white elitist group, and neither does anyone in his club. However, that doesn't change the group from barring any consideration of a black as a member. And you got to remember, and this is where I want to cut right there, where he's going in about the whites not accepting the blacks and stuff like that. A lot of the 81, a lot of the outlaws, the Mongols, those clubs have been around for decades. And the reason why a lot of that attitude hasn't changed is because they're using their bylaws from that time period. And now they're international clubs. And it's real hard to change a bylaw. You got to get, depending on which main club it is, they have to go to regionals, then they got to go to nationals and get everybody to vote on it. It's almost impossible to change a bylaw within a motorcycle club. So it might appear that these guys are like, fuck that, we don't want blacks around, shit like that. No, this goes back to bylaw days when it was first written. Again, it's hard to change the bylaws. Let's go here. No way, he says without a hint of disgust in his voice. In the specific culture that I've been a part of for the last 3 years, there's always been racism towards bikers of color. When asked to provide specifics of that racism, Toby flat out refuses. What's very interesting, however, is that Toby quickly goes on to stress, but don't put it all on outlaw clubs. There are plenty of racist AMA clubs too. And speaking, see, that's where I don't agree with them. Yeah, you got members that are still hardcore and still believe in the old ideals and shit like that of segregation. But again, I really believe it's the fucking bylaws that a lot of these clubs, they're not going to change, 50-year-old bylaws, to be inclusive to a PC society. No, this is the way it was set up. This is what's worked for them. So why change something that's worked? You know what I mean? In speaking to a Black Mike, he makes some interesting points very clear regarding the errors of bikers' racism. Some of us do it because it's just badass. Yeah, the Nazis did some fucked up shit and they hurt a lot of people. And if you're wearing that symbol on you or your clothing, people automatically associate that symbol with you doing some fucked up shit and hurting a lot of people. In other words, it keeps them the fuck away from you. When I asked Black Mike to speak to the spiderweb elbow tattoo on his own elbow that is often associated with white Aryan gangs, he looks down on it for a moment and takes his time to consider his words. I was locked up for a while, and look, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. I'd rather fight 10 motherfuckers with 20 motherfuckers on my side. I don't care if there are 20 blacks on my side, 10 whites on the other. What I care about is just fucking numbers, and if the numbers with me so happen to be white, then so be it. Yeah, he's being, freaking honest. When pressed to ask how he feels about those tattoos and imagery now, he's not locked up, Mike goes on to say. And, being a tattoo artist for a long time, it wasn't only those spiderweb tattoos ain't related to just prison shit, man. The gangs and shit. It also can symbolize freaking how many years you were in there and all that kind of crap. Let's see here. What people don't understand is that white pride and white power are different. All I'm saying is that I'm proud of where my ancestors came from. I'm not saying because they come from there and I come from them that I'm better than you. You guys call yourselves African American. No one says you're racist because of that or even that you hate America. Mike laughs for a moment and adds, I do not think I'm a better American than you because I'm riding a Harley. No matter what color you are, that I feel in my bones, fuck your color. What are you riding? If I'm racist towards the bike you ride, not who's riding it. And that's a lot of the feelings of a lot of people out there, if you know it or not. A guy like me, I get fucking hit all the time because I allow black content on Insane Throttle. Insane Throttle is going to give... We covered a whole community and the whole biker lifestyle. And yeah, we know there's different sects within the community, but we're going to give coverage to everyone. We're not here just to situate on the white scene or the Hispanic scene or even the club scene. As we're here to cover it all. And that's why you hear Insane Throttle give a voice to everyone. And that's something, I guess, that's been a shock because it just hasn't been done before. It's either been, the blacks got their shit, the Mexicans got their shit, the whites got their shit, and that's where everybody goes to, is those platforms. Well, Insane Throttle's so big is because we do give a voice to everybody. If you're a black club, you can from the East Bay Dragons or some shit like that. Come on. If you're an all Latino club, come on. That's just the way we look at everything over here. Well, let's see here. We've all heard the reputation of Harley. It's called a Harley because it's hardly working. I'm not a mechanic and I don't have money to burn, so the longest time a Harley was ever a consideration. Asked if he felt discriminated against because he was riding a Honda, Corey makes a very, very clear distinction. By other African American bikers, no. They didn't care what I was on. We saw each other and we gave the hand signal and it kept moving. The only sort of discrimination I felt was maybe by the idiots on crotch rockets who were going too fast or doing something too stupid on their bikes to wave, or because they thought I wouldn't wave to them because they were on those stupid bikes. So, it's a really good article. It can go on and on and on there about how everybody feels about one particular subject or another. But do I support mixed race clubs? Yeah, I do. I have a lot of friends that are in mixed race clubs. And it's a good thing. Because if you got people serving in a fucking foxhole next to you, I don't care what color you are. And that's what I think the black community needs to understand is, yeah, there's prejudice. There's always going to be. And yeah, it's probably right. The biker scene's never going to change. It's always going to be broke into parts. It's going to be the blacks, whites, Mexicans, what have you. It's always going to be that way because the bylaws have been written that way for so many decades ago. And one of the reasons why a club has success is if they stick to their bylaws and live and breathe them, their club's gonna fucking go forward and grow and be a damn good thing. So it's pretty hard, again, to change it. But with that, I know this has been a long one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Hate mail and all that shit. Go fuck yourself early. Because I know I'm going to get it. But don't forget to purchase the new Age of Biking Brotherhood. That helps go to get a motorcycle madhouse 5 days a week. And with that, I'll let you guys go and hopefully see you this Saturday at 9:30 a.m. During the week, if you got any questions, I'll be pulling them from the videos that's going on this week and maybe answering some on Saturday's live chat. So I'll talk to you guys later.